Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It is February 15th and it is tater time. And as you can see, I've got my area freshly broke up. The reason why this is, now I had broken up earlier, kind of killed most of the little grass and weeds and stuff. But I break it up right whenever I get ready to plant, because what that does is aerates the soil a little bit, which causes a little bit more daytime warming and start these to germinating quicker. So let's get into this. Okay, when you get ready to plant your potatoes, first thing you have to have, they don't have to be chitted, but they'll sprout a whole lot faster that way. We used to call it growing eyes. Now some of these are extra long, which that's not the best because normally they get broke off and a lot of times they won't grow. But the other ones, and each one of these little areas here, and that's why we call them eyes. Each one of these little areas looks kind of like an eye. They'll put out a growth from there, which they call chitting. Now these are very well chitted. This one's rotted, but this will not affect. It's kind of rotten on that side because we'll just cut off that part and we'll go ahead and plant the rest of it. But if you look back at my other video when I talk about getting you some seed potatoes, you can see how some of these are. This is the red Pontiacs right here. This is the Yukon Gold. Now the other varieties, I haven't brought them out yet. But anyway, first thing you need a potato, not a store-bought potato, because your potatoes in the store are sprayed with a chemical to keep them from wanting to grow. So we don't want any of those. Now if you get organic potatoes from the store, if that's what you want, which is it's not preferred, but you can grow them from, make sure you get organic, because otherwise you'll put potatoes in the ground, you'll be hoping for them to grow. And I've even tried some organics hoping that they come up, and they never did chit. So it's always better to start with seed potatoes. Now a lot of mine, and especially for my second season, I'll use what part of my potatoes that I grew for the first season. I'll wait for them to start chitting, and then I'll regrow them, and that way I've got potatoes, enough potatoes. But anyway, we have our potatoes. Now let's get started. This year I'm putting up the string line so I can keep my rows straight, get maximum amount of potatoes in here. For one, I want to make sure that they cover pretty well so I don't have a weed issue. Now normally, as you can see down here, normally I just dig holes and put them in, but this year at the other end we start digging a ditch, and that's probably what we're going to do, because spacing on these, now your rows should be spaced a foot or 3 feet apart. And normally when you space your potatoes, space them about a foot to 18 inches. Now you can space them 8 inches, but the closer you space them, the smaller your potatoes are going to be, because they're going to be fighting for resources. And unless you have a really good amount of resources, they're going to struggle, and you're going to have smaller potatoes. If that's what you want, well, fine. I'm going to put mine about a foot apart. Now as you can see in the hole, we have put some fertilizer in here. What I'm using is chicken litter in a 5-gallon bucket. I mix 2 cups of ag lime in it, calcium chloride, and I mix a cup of azmite, so it's got extra trace minerals in there. And then I put a cup of bone meal, which give it extra phosphate, because potatoes like a lot of phosphate. But anyway, we're going to cut these up. When we cut these up, most people will say you need at least 2 eyes, and that is good. And a lot of people will say that you need to let these heal over. Now, if you look back at my videos from before, I've always planted where I just cut them and plant them. Most people I know in the area just cut them and plant them. But what we're going to do, and some people plant whole potatoes. Let me explain what happens when you plant whole potatoes. When you plant this whole potato, Every one of these eyes are forming a plant. You can see how it's coming off here with like 3 stems. Same thing here. You're going to have a whole lot of plants in one place. Well, it sets potatoes above on the stem above this potato that you plant. So that's the reason why we want to plant it kind of down in there. But what you'll have in one hole is all of these will come up, and they're all fighting for nutrients right there. So you're going to have small potatoes. It's very rare that you'll get larger potatoes when you plant them that way. People think that maybe you're doing it because you're trying to conserve your potatoes and make them go further, but the actual thing is that it makes your potatoes produce better. And I'm thinking about maybe doing a certain amount of row and actually weighing it so I can show you that. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to cut some of these, and then we'll show you how we bury them again. All right, what we do is, or she does, is turns the fertilizer, so we mix it in. We don't want a whole lot there and possibly burn the potato. Then she's going to put the potato down in there with the eyes up, and then she's just going to bury it. Now, you don't have to keep burying it. Once it comes up, we'll throw a little bit more dirt on there. But it's going to be the same process for each one of these, as far as just turning that in there, put your potato in, put some dirt on it. Once it comes up, and it'll come up and get green first, you can cover the leaves up on it. It won't hurt it, especially like if a late frost comes. That's the best way to deal with it, is come out here and hold dirt over them, and then they'll come right back through. The Kennebecs are sprouting. Nice eyes on them too. Chitted real well. So far, we've done 5 rows. This is number 6 of potatoes. When we run out of one, we just go with another. We just we're not limited to just one row and separating them and stuff like that. But anyway, it looks like we're going to have quite a few, because we still have a bunch more Kennebecs to plant, which maybe a couple of rows. This one and another one, and then we've got some other varieties. Well, it's the next day, February 16th, and we've got all our Kennebecs finally in the ground, and we've got these magic mollies. Now these are really chitted well. Some of these, like this, will actually cut in half. These were some that I had saved from my last year's crop, but it was an early crop, because magic molly takes a little bit longer. It takes about 120 days versus most potatoes are somewhere around 75, 85 days. So, but anyway, they're pitiful looking. You know, they're all shriveled up, nothing magic about them. And some of these are mighty small. As you can see, this is a little bitty potato. Now this is what I actually had from my batch that I'd planted before, that I saved these potatoes from, was little bitty ones like this. And of course we ate a few, but because we had a problem with production on them, they probably getting too much nitrogen or something. It wasn't that I gave nitrogen, but we had a lot of compost in there, and it probably had a lot of nitrogen in it. But anyway, we're going to plant these, but I want you to follow along and pay special attention as we give updates on these, so you can see how these little scrawny potatoes will actually come back and produce. Let me get these in the ground. Surprisingly, the magic mollies made about 75 foot or so of row, so see how that does. These here are Adirondacks, and these are saved seed too, and we're going to plant these. Most of them will be whole. There might be a few like this one that might get cut, but most of them we're just going to plant whole potatoes, being they're small and not too awful many eyes. All the potatoes are in the ground except the French fingerlings that won't be here until April, but that'll be another video. I hope you found some value in this video. Just remember, when you do plant potatoes, make sure you give them extra phosphorus so they can form nice big tubers. And if you end up with a cold spell coming, because like I say, we plant ours early down here in East Texas, and I try to do these videos to where they'll be helpful for whether you're down here in the south or whether you're up north. Your plant time's just different, but you can kind of get with your last frost date and then go from there. And the way we do it's about 6 weeks is the way I normally plant ahead of my the last frost date. But anyway, if you want to see more of these videos, you want to follow up how these potatoes are doing later, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified. And if you like it, of course, give it a big thumbs up. Happy gardening.